I like to make predictions, mostly because I am always right. But when it comes to predicting the next standard metagame, it is as difficult as predicting the next person to die at the old folks nursing home. It could literally be anyone. But Daddy has been doing his research playtesting new cards from Throne of Eldraine, and I do believe that I have designed a deck that can take over the standard metagame. And it's time for me to share it with all of my big boys. The star of the deck is Oko, which many players think is total garbage. To summarize their unkind words, Oko is only for EDH because no one would play this card over Teferi, Narset, or even Vivian. Now, I am not saying that these people smoke crack, but I'm also not saying that these people do not smoke crack. Anyway, let's get to my standard deck by first talking about a very similar deck in Modern, green-black mid-range. And when I say similar, I mean someone at Wizards beats their meat to this deck because they've recreated it in Standard. I will show you why by first showing you how this deck functions. Turn 1 is Inquisition, taking away the removal cards, and then on turn 2, it wants to play one of its creatures, perhaps Dark Confidant. Although it causes us to lose life, it is quite good value in the long term. But perhaps instead we want to play Scavenging Ooze. It only comes out as a 2/2, but with its 1/1 counter ability, it will not stay at 2/2 for long. Then by turn 3, we're hoping for Liliana. She's not crazy good when she first comes out, but over the course of many turns, she is very good value. And then going further into late game, we have Vraska alongside many other removal cards. Now let's talk about my standard deck. Instead of using Inquisition to take out removal cards, in Standard we have Duress to do that. And instead of Dark Confidant, we have Dreadhorde Invasion. And instead of Scavenging Ooze, we have Woodland Champion. Very similar. And conveniently, both Assassin's Trophy and Vraska are in Standard. But the card that ties it all together, instead of Liliana, it's Oko. We need to talk about why Oko is totally insane in this deck. First of all, it combos with Dreadhorde. At our upkeep, we lose 1 life and amass 1. Amass puts a 1/1 counter on an army creature we control. If we don't have one, it makes a 0/0 token for us. So in other words, to maximize this card's full potential, we want to get rid of our army tokens so the Dreadhorde makes more. And we can do so with Oko's second ability, which says target artifact or creature loses all abilities and becomes a 3/3 elk creature. If we target our army creature token, it becomes a 4/4 that's no longer an army because it's an elk. So with Dreadhorde and Oko out, we can make 4/4s every turn. And keep in mind that Oko's ability is a plus ability, not a minus ability. But it gets even better than that, because now we have Gilded Goose. For 1 mana, it comes into play, makes a food token. On the following turn, we sack the food token, make a mana, which allows us to play a turn 2 Oko, which can then turn the goose into a 3/3, all by turn 2. But it gets even better, because we have Woodland Champion. It seems like it wouldn't be that good, but think about it for a second. There are so many ways to make tokens, not just creature tokens, because this card works with any token. But how do we make tokens? Luckily, our Gilded Goose can pay 2 mana to make a food token every turn. And Oko can make a food token every turn. And Oko with Dreadhorde makes a creature token every turn. But it gets even better, because we also have Lovestruck Beast, which can make a 1/1 token for 1 mana and a 5/5 for 3 mana. Its drawback is that it can't attack unless we control a 1/1. But think about it, is our opponent really going to use removal on a 1/1? And even if they do, it's still a 5/5 blocker. And just in case we do want more 1/1 tokens, there is also Inquisitive Puppet. When it comes in, it scries and it can make a 1/1 token. So everything from the Woodland Champion to the Beast, to the Goose, to the Okos, to the Dreadhordes, it just works so well together. And we even have Vraska, whose first ability sacks a permanent and draws us a card and gains us a life. The thing we're sacrificing could be a food token, or it could be Dreadhorde Invasion. Like, you have to ask yourself, is this even Standard anymore? Like, it feels more like Modern, and that makes me happy in Pawns. But let's wrap things up here. We have Duress to take the removal, we have Legion's End to take out creatures, then there is Assassin's Trophy that takes out everything, as well as the new card Murderous Rider, which can destroy a creature or planeswalker, and doubles as a 2/3 lifelink creature. All in all, here is my masterpiece. Amazing cards, amazing lands, and now it's time to see this deck in action with gameplay. If you are as excited as I am, be sure to join the big boys and subscribe. But without further ado, here's gameplay, and I hope you enjoy. Opening hand. Ooh. I think we're gonna win. Let's plan this out. Turn 1 Goose, turn 2 Oko, and then we have Dreadhorde Invasion? Okay. How anyone beats this is beyond me. Opponent plays a land untapped and passes back, and now the time has come. Make a blue mana with the Goose, casting Oko, and turn the Goose into an elk. Oh, but before that happens, they bounce it back to hand. Okay, that's fine. We still have Oko. On their turn, they play a forest and pass back. We play land, and they could have a negate, but I say we go with the Dreadhorde Invasion. Will it hit? Indeed. indeed it does. Hooray! And then attempt to cast a goose. The goose hits as well. And then we'll use Oko to turn the food token into an elk. Mission accomplished. What a great turn. At our end step, they flash in a sailor, but we have the goose to block it. On their turn, they play a temple and scry. And at our upkeep, the Dreadhorde makes an army token. And now we could turn the goose into an elk and attack with it this turn, but I really want to make this a 4/4. Yeah, let's do that. And then we'll swing with the 3/3 elk. They take 3 down to 15. And then we'll play a land and go for the Lovestruck Beast, using its adventure ability to make a 1/1 human. And then we'll cast the beast from exile. This seems fair. And at our end step, they flash in the Preserver. Good for them. They play a land and it's back to us. We get another army token and we'll try and finish things up here. Let's try an Assassin's Trophy, the Preserver, but they counter with the Mystic. Okay, so to punish them, I've got a great idea. We'll pay 2 to make a food token, and then Ultimate Oko, trading our food token for the Preserver. Wasn't that a fair trade? And then attack for 12. They trade with an elk, slamming them down to 6. Opponent passes back again. Back on our turn, let's start by playing a land, casting the Puppet. That triggers the Preserver. We'll only buff it by 1. In order to keep 3 mana open for removal, we'll then make the army into a 5/5 elk. And now let's go for it. Attacking with everyone. They flash an Ambusher, but guess what? We'll kill it with the Rider. And even though they block the 5/5 with the Sailor, they still take 13 damage down to -7. Holy crap. And what a great time to announce my hand-painted deck boxes with a brand new design. You can clip it to your belt, you can clip it to your bag, and it's very, very affordable. But now back to the gameplay. Maybe it just can't be beaten, but we'll give our friend another chance. And this time they'll be on the play. Opening hand's alright. I like the turn 1 Duress, and Woodland Champion could also be good, so we'll give it a shot. Opponent starts with Breeding Pool. We pull a beast, and then we'll Duress. And dang, a lot of good stuff here. With Unsummon, they can bounce the Woodland, but Negate hurts everything else. I suppose we gotta take Negate, and perhaps wait on the Woodland. Opponent plays their Forest and passes back. I really want to play Woodland this turn, but the Unsummon, meh. So we'll just play a Dreadhorde instead. End of our turn, opponent flashes in the Sailor. Swings at us for 1, but then passes back. No land. Huh. Alright, we get an army. Then we'll play the land, and then cast a champion, even though it doesn't look good. And then cast a goose. And at our end step, our opponent uses Unsummon Indeed. On their turn, opponent swings for 1, but we can just block like that. And then nothing happens. And speaking of nothing, our opponent doesn't play a land this turn either. Oh boy. And now that we've pulled our 4th land, it's time to take advantage of this situation. Play the Breeding Pool, and then cast a champion, and then sacrifice the food token, and play Oko, turning the army into a 5/5 elk. And then we'll swing for 5, putting them down to 15, and it's back to them. And they pull their 3rd land. Hooray! We know they have Sinister Sabotage in hand, as well as Essence Capture, but you know, I don't think we need to play anything from here on out. They hit us down to 12 and they pass back. Dreadhorde makes an army token, making Woodland a 3/3, and then we'll use Oko to make a food token, making the champion a 4/4, but then we'll tap the goose, making another food token, making Woodland a 5/5. Ooh, swing for 10. Oh, they go to 5. It's back to us again. And what a great game this is. Make the army into a 5/5, and then make a token for the champion, and then swing for 16. Cutthroat to block, but they still take 5, which is lethal. What a blowout. I mean, they were having land trouble, but we let them be on the play. And could you imagine us just cracking these tokens? Like every turn, 3 life, 3 life, all the while buffing Woodland. I'm just happy. I mean, I'm happy for the deck, but sad for everyone else that has to play against the deck. I'm trying to think what deck beats this, because we seem to do well early game with Duress, and the Goose, and the Woodland, and even the Dreadhorde, but we also do really, really well late game. I don't know what beats it. I'm thinking maybe Esper, because they have a ton of removal, but their deck's really slow. But they do have board wipe and stuff, and they do have the Little Teferi. And considering that Esper controls the #1 deck in Standard right now, and the vast majority of their cards are not rotating, so let's play against post-rotation Esper control, and see which of us has more big dick energy. Opening hand, I like it a lot. I mean, Goose into Oko, yeah. Starting with a Goose and pass back. Opponent scries at the Temple, and then back on our turn, it's time for Oko. Turning the Goose into a 3/3 elk. Back on our opponent's turn, they give us a Thought Enema, taking the Lovestruck Beast, and it's back to us. On our turn, let's swing for 3, and do some big boy moves here. Play the Woodland Champion, followed by a Puppet. Scry 1 Assassin's Trophy, yeah, I'll keep that on top. And then make a food token with Oko. That makes a champion a 3/3, and it's back to them. And then on their turn, they Othakaya the Elk. They go back up to 18, and on their end step, we'll exile the Puppet. Champion is now 4/4, and then on our turn, we could turn the food token into an elk, but they also could have board wipe next turn. So So the safer option would be to make another food token, and that's what we'll do. And then hit them for 6, down to 12, play a land, and it's back to them. And what do you know, they do in fact have board wipe. Our creatures go to Jesus, and it's back to us. We pull a Rider, nice. Now let us Elkify this food token, hit our opponent for 3, and it's back to our opponent. And on our opponent's turn, they play Kaya, exiling the Elk. And on their end step, we'll use the Rider to kill Kaya. Hooray, back to us. Full land, meh. We'll turn the food token into creature, hit them for 3, and then cast the Rider from exile. 2/3 lifelink back to them. On our opponent's turn, they play the Bellhaunt, so we'll have to discard the land. They go back to 9, and I was hoping to use Oko's ultimate to gain control of Bellhaunt, but I think the smarter move is to go with the trophy, and now swing for 5, and then make a token with Oko. Then opponent uses Legion's End on the Elk, but I believe near is the end. Turn the food token into an Elk, swing for 5, and there it is. Oh boy, that felt very long. And yes, that's what she said. But we never really lost control of the game, just a straight grind all the way until the end. And to all the pro players that said Oko was not a good planeswalker, to them I ask, why do you smoke crack? Because if what they say is true, that both Teferi and Narset are completely out of Oko's league, then what was that game just now? What is this? How much value did we get out of Oko there? Like, how many tokens? But we'll need to do more testing to see how good this deck actually is. Hello big boys, Daddy from the future here. Some time has passed and opponent 69 and I kind of got carried away, and we did more testing against Simic Flash and Esper. But I'll tell you our results. Against Simic Flash, there were 5 games of us on the play, and 5 games of us on the draw. On the play, we won 4 out of 5 games, and on the draw, we also won 4 out of 5 games, which means our win percentage against Simic Flash was 80%. That's pretty high. The 2 losses were really strange games. One game I just got flooded with lands, and in the other loss, opponent 69 got to 12 lands with the Sailor out and drew a ton of cards, and after drawing a ton of cards, they did win that game, although they pretty much got spanked on every other game. Against counter decks, it turns out Champion is really good, because with Oko and Goose, we can just keep making tokens without playing anything. But now let's talk about the Esper matchup. There were a total of 5 games against Esper, and we won 4 out of those 5. So once again, we got an 80% win percentage. The games did feel close, but there were a couple cards on our deck that really did well against Esper. We didn't see it in the recorded game, but Duress on turn 1 against Esper, really good. And then with a quick follow-up with like the Champion, Dreadhorde, or the Beast, it was really hard for Esper to follow through after a Duress. Rider was also really good against them, considering they have quite a few planeswalkers, but Esper did get 1 game off of us. It was a game where they had a lot of early game disruption, and eventually, really late in the game, they played command and got back a ton of stuff, and it was just too much value from that 1 card to come back from that. But I'm truly excited about this deck and looking forward to the Eldraine metagame. But before Eldraine drops, I want to do more testing with this deck, but neither myself nor opponent 69 have any idea what deck can rival this one. So if you guys have any ideas for decks that can beat this one, feel free to link the deck list in the comments, because I do read every comment. And with your guys' deck list, I'd be happy to do a follow-up video to this one. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video. And if you want to support the channel further, my deck boxes are available at decknut.com. And as always, I hope you have a great day.